I secretly lived in his house for a year after our breakup. He never noticed. You know when you truly lose yourself? It's not when someone breaks your heart, not even when they forget you. It's when love becomes obsession. When every breath you take, every thought you have, revolves around someone who doesn't even know you exist anymore. We broke up 13 months ago. Officially, it was his decision. He said, "You suffocate me. I can't breathe when I'm with you." And then, like some kind of consolation prize, he added, "But you're not a bad person, just not my person." I hate when people say that, like you're a defective phone or a pair of shoes that didn't fit. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I just nodded. And the next day, I came back. Not through the front door. I still had a key. He forgot I had it, or maybe he never thought I'd use it again, but I did. Not to confront him, not to get closure. I used it to sneak into the storage space beneath the stairs. He never opened it. It was like a dead zone in the house, a weird triangle-shaped space behind the coats and cleaning supplies. But it was enough. I brought a sleeping bag, some snacks, my phone, my charger, a power bank, and headphones. I could hear when he was home. I memorized the rhythm of his days. He worked from 9 to 5, went to the gym at 6, and usually got back by 7:30. He always showered first. Then he ate, usually reheated food or something from the freezer. Then Netflix, then bed by 11. I had hours during the day to sneak around, to use the bathroom, to eat his food, to smell his clothes. I started cleaning a little when he was gone, folding things, tidying up. I don't think he even noticed. He probably thought he was being more organized. The first few weeks were terrifying. I didn't sleep. Every creak felt like the end. But slowly, I adapted. I started calling it home again. He dated a few girls during that time. None of them stayed long. I listened through the walls. I heard him laugh. I heard him sigh. I knew every one of his moods by the way he shut the door or kicked off his shoes. There were moments I wanted to come out, to just walk into the living room and say, "Hi, I'm still here. I never left." But I didn't, because deep down, I knew what he'd say. He'd scream. He'd look at me like I was insane. He'd call the police, or worse, he'd pity me. So I stayed hidden. The weirdest part, I started to feel safe, in the shadows, like I was part of the house, like a ghost with a heartbeat. But then something changed. He brought a girl home one night, not like the others. She stayed. She laughed loudly. She left a toothbrush in his bathroom. And one night, I heard him say something he never said to me. He said, "I think I love you." And in that moment, I knew my time in the walls was almost up. I think I stopped breathing for a full minute when I heard him say it. "I think I love you." I mouthed the words in the dark, trying to convince myself they didn't mean anything. Maybe he says that to all of them. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe she didn't hear it right. But she did. She giggled and said, "About time." She moved in the following week. It started with little things. A suitcase in the hallway, then shoes by the door that weren't his. Then the perfume. God, the perfume. It was everywhere, sweet and powdery, like something a girl from a toothpaste commercial would wear. She rearranged his living room. She bought pillows with stupid quotes on them. Live, laugh, love. She filled his fridge with oat milk and vegan sausages. She was nice, from what I could hear. Too nice. The kind of nice that makes you feel like garbage by comparison. She laughed all the time. Like really laughed. With her whole chest, she was loud and alive, and she made him smile in a way I hadn't seen in months. Even from the shadows, I could feel it. The shift, the warmth between them, the way they started finishing each other's sentences, the way their silences didn't feel empty. I hated her, but I also envied her. Not for having him, but for being so real, so unapologetically present in her own life. She didn't hover in shadows. She didn't wait for anyone to see her. She was seen. And I was just a ghost. I started making mistakes, slipping up. One morning, I forgot to put back the toothpaste exactly where it had been. Another day, I left a cabinet door slightly ajar. She noticed. At first, it was small comments. "Did you use the bathroom window last night?" "No," he'd say, confused. "Strange, it was open." Another day, "I swore I put the cereal box on the left side. It's probably nothing," he'd shrug. But she didn't think it was nothing. I could hear it in her voice, the doubt creeping in. One night, I heard her whisper, "What if someone's in the house?" My blood froze. He laughed. "Like what? A squatter? This isn't a horror movie." No, not a horror movie. Just horror. After that, she got paranoid. She started locking every door and window. She left lights on in rooms they weren't using. She started recording with her phone when she left for work, just to make sure the cat isn't messing things up. They didn't have a cat. I stayed perfectly still for hours, afraid her phone would catch even the faintest movement. I didn't shower for weeks. I stopped sneaking into the kitchen. I lived off crackers and bottled water I hid in the stairwell. I lost weight. My hair got greasy. I smelled like dust and desperation. I wasn't a person anymore. I was mold under the floorboards. And yet, I couldn't leave because I didn't know where else to go. Because this was still the last place I felt close to him. Because somewhere in the broken part of my mind, I believed maybe he'd still feel me, sense that I never truly left. But he didn't. She did. It happened on a Tuesday. She stayed home from work, said she felt off. I heard her padding around the house barefoot, humming something off-key. I stayed completely still in the crawl space, heart pounding like a war drum. By now, I'd memorized every creak in the floorboards, every groan of the pipes. I could tell where she was just by the way the sound shifted in the walls. But that day, something felt wrong. She was too quiet. And then I heard it, the sound of the storage closet opening. I froze. There were only two reasons that door would open. She was cleaning. Unlikely, she hated that closet. Or she'd finally figured it out. The coats rustled. Something was moved. And then I heard her gasp. The door to my hiding place opened slowly, like in a dream. And there she was. No screaming, no fainting, no, "Oh my God, who are you?" Just silence. She looked at me like I was a feral animal in her pantry. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry. Finally, she whispered, "How long?" I croaked, Since before you." She blinked. "You've been here the whole time?" I nodded. She didn't move. She didn't run. She backed away slowly and closed the door again. Just like that. Darkness returned, but everything had changed. 30 minutes later, the police showed up. He came home in the middle of it, confused, shocked, pale. He asked them, "Are you sure? That's not possible." She left. They brought me out in cuffs. I didn't fight. I didn't even cry. He looked at me like I was some stranger who'd been living in his nightmares. He didn't say a word. Later, in the police car, the officer asked me why. Why didn't I leave? Why didn't I get help? Why didn't I let go? I stared out the window and whispered, "Because I didn't know who I was without him." I spent 3 months in a psychiatric facility. Diagnosis: severe emotional trauma, obsessional delusional disorder. Sounds dramatic, but honestly, it fit. They taught me to breathe again, to be a person, to find meaning in things that had nothing to do with him. It's been almost a year since then. I live alone now. Small apartment. I go to group therapy on Tuesdays. I volunteer at a shelter on weekends. Some days I feel strong. Other days I still think I hear his laugh echoing in the walls. But I don't go back. I never go back. Because now I know, love isn't supposed to feel like hiding in the dark, praying not to be found. Love is light, and I'm finally stepping into it.